I'm back with another video, and in today's video we have a DELL Precision 7530 model. And in this video I'm gonna go over on a step-by-step how you can open it up and how you can clean up, repaste, and remove the heatsink and everything like that. It's step-by-step how to do it and how to put it back together, everything. And I'm gonna go over the tools that I'll be using so you can do this at home while watching this video. Alright, first thing first, turn off the laptop. Make sure the laptop is turned off. And the tools that I'll be using, one of them is a workshop towel. I highly recommend you this one. Do not use the microfiber towels, anything like that. Use these workshop towels. Highly recommend you. With this one, you cannot damage the components on the motherboards or anything like that. With the fiber towels, you can damage because they have a tiny hooks on them. They can damage whole components. With this one, this will rip before the motherboard gets damaged. So make sure you use the workshop towel. You need a 99% alcohol, isopropylic or isopropylic alcohol, 99%. Make sure you get that. Don't get anything under that. Do not use 75%. Do not use pharmacy. People keep telling me 99% if you want to be in a safe side. For the opening tools, I use the UFIXTEK screwdriver set as they have one of the best screwdrivers out there. These are made out of S2 class steel. They are really durable. Just get the basic set like this, the one I have here. If you get the Pro set, they are premium screwdrivers that are kind of expensive, but they will last you a lifetime. The premium screwdrivers will include you with an opening tools and some tweezers. If not, get the basic and get yourself a curved tweezers. And for the opening tool, I'll be using a guitar pick, a 0.3 millimeters guitar pick, a metallic one. Is really suitable to opening cases and covers. All right, and an old, new, or toothbrush is really good to have to clean it up. You don't need to buy some brush, right? With all this on hand, we're gonna get it started. First thing first, power off the laptop. As I said, you wanna open it up. You're gonna remove the bezel for the keyboard and the screws for the keyboard. To do that, you wanna grab the opening tool. You wanna see tiny opening right in there. You wanna put this opening tool right there. And then you just want to twist it, pull it back, and you want to see this bezel thing just comes open. You want to hold the bezel or the framing and don't let it go. And again, put it on the side and help it out so you can snap those tiny clips that are underneath. You want to put your hand underneath and then up and down like this. Do not yank it up, otherwise you're going to break it. In 35-45 degree angle, up, down, and it will come loose. If you have break it, this part number is right there. All right, now down here we're gonna see 3 screws, 1, 2, 3 right in here, and there's a 3 hidden ones between the keyboard keys. 1, 2, 3. So total of 6 screws must be removed from here. So remove all these 6 screws. Also, if you guys like my videos, if you find my videos helpful and helping you guys out, you can support the channel by clicking that like and subscribe. I'll greatly appreciate it. It helps and motivates me to make more videos, take requests, and answer your questions in the comment area. I appreciate that. Alright, once we remove the screws, now we're going to leave it the way it is. We're going to close down the screen. We're going to go back on the other side. I just threw my guitar pick, so let's grab the other one. Now down here we're going to see a whole bunch of screws. So what we want to do, we want to loosen up all the screws. Remember, these screws will not come out entirely. Pretty much you just want to just rotate and they become loose. That's all you want to do this to all the screws, because there's a little C-lock on the other side that will prevent the screws from coming out, or they make a little bottleneck. There we go. Now you want to grab it from the corner back and wiggle it around and make sure you hear those tiny click sounds and bring it up and pull it out. You can use a toothbrush, take it outside and clean it out and blow some dry air. Don't use those compressed air, those are horrible. Use a dry compressor. I'll have the link on those in my video description. All right, first we're gonna remove the battery by pulling this cable upward. Remove 1, 2, 3 screws for the battery. and lift up the battery and put it to one side. Now we're gonna unhook the keyboard connectors from here, lift it up 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree. Pull out the cables, lift them up, and pull them up. Now we're gonna go back to other side. You wanna put the opening tool, the guitar pick on this side, and you wanna lift it up from the right side a little bit. There's a tiny hooks. You wanna work it around, and you hit three clicks in here and 3 clicks in there. And then from the bottom here in the middle, you wanna lift it up. There's a tiny hook in there. It just releases itself. You wanna bring it up in about 1 centimeter, and then you wanna pull it towards yourself a little bit so you can unhook this clips up there and bring it back. Now you can just pull it towards yourself. If you're pulling it towards yourself, it's not coming out, do not force it. You just, from the other side, with your hand, just feed the cables through. Okay? Like right now, let's say, for example, right now it's not coming. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna feed it manually. Let me see, this keyboard is, it got stuck there. There we go. Oh, it just came out anyway. Because these cables, they have a little hook right there. So when you're pulling it, this gets stuck there, it becomes like that. So you don't want to damage this plastic on top. So you want to feed it straight. So there's your keyboard. Now we are going to disconnect this connector, lift it up 90 degree and pull it backward. I mean, remove this cover. This is for the RAM, one screw. This power, bring it forward, and that's it. Okay. Now we need to remove this one right here, 90 degree upward, slide it out. There we go. Now there is one screw right there. We're gonna remove this tiny screw. I am pretty sure this is for the, we don't need to remove these ones because these ones are for the CPU. We're gonna remove this one right away here. So there's a 2 screws that we need to remove on the top cover. So 2 tiny screws. I don't see any other screws. Okay. Now we are gonna flip it upside down and we're gonna remove the rest of the screws down here. Let's put this one here. We are gonna remove this one M.M23 right under the battery. Under the battery, 2 of them, 2 short under the battery. And these are the P screws, they're all the same size. Go around this one over here, the one on the side. By the fan, right by the Wi-Fi. At the back. I'm pretty sure you don't have to remove this one, but what the heck, I'm gonna remove it, whatever reason. And remove this one right here. You can remove this one here. First, let's go to this one, the P screws. The one in the middle, and there's 2 of them in here. Once you remove these 2, one right in the middle here. Remove that. Now we are gonna untangle this cable for the power jack. And we're gonna pull it up straight. And at least you guys get an idea how to replace the power jack. To remove it, there's a tiny bracket right on top. I'm pretty sure I don't have to remove this, but you can remove it. You learn something new. Remove the power jack. Same screw that we remove on there is in here. So let's go ahead and remove that one. So make sure that there's no more screws that you miss. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And once you finished in here, now we are gonna go on the other side. There's a screw on the back here. And they might have to hold the heatsink, but I doubt it. So let's leave this one for now. Let's go here. Now we're gonna remove the palm rest. Let's grab the opening tool and put it right between the palm rest and here. And we're gonna lift it up. You wanna hear those click sounds? That's what you wanna hear. Okay. You want to work yourself all around. There is something in the middle that is holding it. Yep. So let's go on the bottom side. This flexor right here, I forgot to remove it. Just disconnect this flex cable right there. That's for the trackpad. Leave it right there. I'm going to open it, and the whole thing is actually comes with it. And there we have it. So there's your bottom cover. There's a little thermal pad in here. There's a pretty, about 5mm, no, it's like a 6mm thermal pad that touches the PCH chip right here. Make sure you don't damage this thermal pad. You can just put it right on top here. So there's your palm rest. You can go ahead and clean it. And down here, we get to see the whole motherboard. There's a power jack for the flex cable for the screen, the CPU and the GPU. It's a video card right there. Is detachable. That means it's upgradable. So anyway, to remove the heatsink, first we're gonna remove the jack. I don't like yanking on the cables. What I do, I just pull this with my fingernails. I try to pull the jack backward, wiggling it around gently, or put the tweezer beside them and then pull it back. Same thing in here. Use your fingernails to pull it backward gently, and there we go. All right, first we're gonna remove this flex cable for the LCD. Remove the bracket over the flex cable. So remove 2 screws for the bracket. And pull this bracket upward. It's like the same way that you did with the battery. And then there's a gaffer's tapes in here. Detach the gaffer's tape. Hold it really close to the cable so you don't want to damage it. Once you remove the gaffer's tape, leave it like that. Then we're gonna remove the heatsink. Remove 4 screws for the CPU and 4 screws for the GPU. There's a C-lock on it. It's the same as a back cover. You just have to loosen them up. Once it's loosened, you're gonna hear a click sound. Once you hear that click sound, it stops twisting. Rotating. Once we finish with that one, we just want to lift up the heatsink and we want to pull it to ourselves. Gently wiggle it around while you're pulling it. Okay, let's remove this RAM by pulling these 2 triggers away. So it comes out. This side is coming out, but this side is not budging in. It's not budging in because I need to remove this screw right in here because it's holding from the components. So remove these 2 screws. So you can remove the bracket so you can skip those. So let's go ahead and do the tweezers. There we go. Now I should be able to bring it backward. Yeah, now it's coming. So that side and then this side, both sides evenly. And you should have it out. And there we go. So this one makes a kind of step, goes down, so it holds it from this component. And there we have it. Now we're going to open it up and clean it up. Let's put it to one side for a second. Now, this is as far as you go. You don't need to remove the GPU. To remove the GPU, it's kind of, you need to remove these bridge cables, remove this cable right in here. This is a popped in cable, so it just comes popped in. You want to lift it up, but I'm not going to replace the GPU or anything like that. The VRAMs are under this shield. Those are safe. Leave it right there. You can take it outside, blow some air and clean the dust on top. Keep this thermal pad in here. You don't need to replace this. This is safe. So the thermal paste is really dried up. So you want to grab one sheet of the workshop towel, grab one corner and spray some alcohol on top and just rub it on top of the crystal. As long as you clean the crystal die, you're fine. You don't need to clean up the whole PCB board of the CPU or GPU. Just clean up the CPU, this one, or you can just spray a little alcohol on top, let it there to soak in. And you don't need to, again, you don't need to do this I'm going to use a little spatula, just poke it in there gently, make sure very gently, just it blends in, and let the alcohol do its work. Be careful with the components in here. I'm doing between the components, so I'm not forcing anything. So this is for those people that really don't want to clean it up nicely. This doesn't affect any performance or anything like that. It's just OCD. So once it's cleaned up, do a pass on top. This is what I'm talking about. This towel will just rip apart with the alcohol and it will not damage the components around it. This is the reason I say use this towel. Don't use any microfiber towel. Okay, I'm gonna leave it just like that. That's fine. Okay, now I'm gonna close this one down and I'm gonna work in here. Now, this one again, we're gonna do the same thing. Let's remove this heatsink right there, put it to one side. The thermal pads, you can use it. Don't replace the thermal pads. These thermal pads are more than fine. You don't need to replace them. And you can see the thickness measured and 2 millimeters. This is 0.5 millimeters on the VRAMs 0.5 and 0.5 millimeters. This is the only 1.5 and 1.5. All right, same thing in here. Let's soak in an alcohol right on those and let it soak in. All right, now we need to clean the fan system. You want to remove one screw, two screws, one screw, two screws on each side. These are our 00 Phillips. So remove these two screws on each side. Now there's a tiny clips on the beside it. Lift up the clips. This one has a cat hair, dog hair. You see they blow some air and there's a lot of hair in there. Same thing on this side. Lift up the clips. There's a clip right in between here. There's a gaffer's tape. Make sure you rip this gaffer's tape away. You don't actually need them. And there's a tiny hook right. That one came out pretty easy, but this one has a hook in here and a hook right there. See if I can get this one in there. There we go. So there's the other one. Okay, this is pretty clean, but yours might be very dusty. Use a toothbrush, take it outside and blow some air, and I'll be back right after this. All right, I took it outside and I cleaned up the fan system, everything, and we are gonna put the whole heatsink back together and put the two screws on each side. So let's put the clips on top. And let's put the two screws on each side. These are this Phillips one. So put the two screws on this side and two screws on that. Alright, now that we have the screw, we're gonna grab ourselves the thermal paste. I'm gonna be using an Arctic MX4. You can use a Thermal Grizzly Quaranot, which is one of the best ones. It all depends your liking, but I recommend you with an MX4. It's really high, cheap, and really good brand. Or you can go with a Thermal Grizzly Quaranot. I'll leave those links in the video description. We're gonna put tiny line on the CPU and one drop right on the GPU. You don't need to put anything more. And we are gonna bring down the heatsink in 45-degree angle all the way in. Before you put it down, make sure it goes in entirely. Bring it down. And Just move it around a little bit. Make sure the screw holes match. Now we are going to tighten up the screws. There we go. Next is very important that you don't forget to put the fan connectors. You slide them right in there, pinch them all the way in. The left and right side, people usually forget to put the fan connectors. Push them in, make sure the cable is not over. Bring this flex cable for the screen. Align it, and just pretty much you have to snap it right on top. This gaffer tape doesn't matter, it can stay on top, it doesn't have to actually work very well. And you want to put this one over here, this bracket, and screw it down. Okay, you want to get that tiny piece for the other component, and you want to slide it right in there. And you want to put the 2 screws for this metal heatsink. Grab the ram that you removed, make sure the notch on the ram matches, bring it down in 45-degree angle inside the jack, push it towards the motherboard. And there we have it. And this is your BIOS battery. If you want to replace your BIOS battery, this is the one right over here. You just pretty much remove it, slide it back like a fan connector. I usually recommend you guys to remove the CMOS battery once you do a repaste. Clean it once every 3-4 years. They sell them. These are a 3.4 volt. These are 2019. It's like a just a little cell battery with a cable. Just replace them so it keeps the BIOS configuration up to date. And plug it back in. Again, same thing. And has a little double-sided adhesive. All right, once we got all this in, make sure everything is in place. Grab the heatsink, put it right on top of the PCH chip, and bring the palm rest down, straight down, all the way inside the bottom hinges. Just snap down the front end, snap the sides. Okay. Grab the shield for the VRAMs, put it on top, slide it in there. Put the 3 screws on the plate, one in here. Remember, we removed 2 more. One right over here, and one right over here. There. Now we're gonna grab the keyboard. Oh, before we do that, let's plug in the power on switch. Open up the lock, the hatch right there. Grab the flex cable, push it in there, and lock it down all the way. Same thing for this trackpad. Slide it right inside the jack. And lock it down. Grab the keyboard. Make sure all the connectors go slide down through there. Before you put it 1 centimeter, keep it up. Put the top side, slide it under the palm rest. Bring it down. Make sure the keyboard goes all the way down flush. Side and side, 3 clicks. And put the 6 screws on the keyboard so you can finish once for all on here. 3 in between the keys and 3 right on the front row. You're gonna grab the bezel for the keyboard. You're gonna set it on top. And you're just gonna push it down straight on the top row. Make sure you do nice click sounds. You wanna hear those on the sides, everywhere. In between the keys. Don't press on the keys, you just need to press in between the keys to hear those click sounds. Take your time doing it, no rush. Okay, once you finish, close it down. Clean up your workspace if there's any thermal paste or anything like that in there, so you don't scratch or damage the top portion. Now that we got it here, we're gonna grab the power cable connector, push it down, put the lock over underneath, and put the screw right on top. Okay, there we go. Run the cable and push it straight down into the connector. It only goes in one way. There we go. And that's it. All right, now we're gonna connect the connector for the keyboard. Push it right there, lock it down, lock it down, and lock it down. The trackpad, push it all the way in there and lock it down. We are almost done here. We need 2 tiny screws. Let's put the white ones that we already know. These chrome screws that goes in the corners. And the 2 tiny screws that goes under the battery, so we can put the battery once for all. There should be one there, one right here. After once put the screws for the battery, we can grab the battery, put it on top, set it there, put the 3 screws for the battery. And the rest of them, it goes wherever you see a screw hole, which is a P sign. So you can go ahead and put all of them. I'm going to start from one corner. Not there. That's for the cover. It has a magnet on the other side. So I don't know. There's a big, nice magnet on the other side. It pulls it down. So you start from one corner and put all the screws between the fan, between the power jack. And this is how you do your service, and you should be doing this service once every year, every couple of years at least, in order to keep your laptop performing well. Otherwise it's going to overheat and it's going to get slower. So there's a screw missing. I missed one right over here. I'm missing one more, which I don't know where it's supposed to go. Right over here on the side. And there we go. And the last thing down here is to just plug in the battery connector, push it down straight, and grab the bottom cover. Make sure the front end of the cover in here goes down first in 45-degree angle. Bring it down, and then put the middle screw to hold it in there, and then screw down the rest, and it's gonna pull the cover to itself. Again, I hope you guys like this video and helped you guys out. If you have any question or requests, feel free to leave them in a video comment. I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Just gonna finish up putting up the bottom screws, and I should be done here. And there we go. And that's how you do service for your DELL Precision 7530 model.